The following is a Red Apple Podcast Network presentation.
They say this is a big rich town. I just come from the poet's part. Bright light, city life, I gotta make it.
Welcome to Dominic Carter's podcast. This is Dominic Carter's City Hall. Now, here's Dominic Carter.
Red Apple Podcast, Talk Radio 77 WABC. You can listen to me, Dominic Carter, Sunday nights 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., weeknights at midnight. Let's start with the premise of haters are always gonna hate. But there are some people that truly deserve a second chance. Like Jim McGreevey, the former governor of New Jersey, who resigned in scandal some 20 years ago. This is my podcast. Let's go.
My dad used to say, that's why God gave us two ears and one mouth so we listen twice as much as we talk. So that if you're going to be a really good mayor, you've got to listen.
And over the last several years since he resigned, Jim McGreevey has done a lot of listening to those that society, for the most part, ignores, and speaking up for the voiceless. I have a lot of respect for McGreevey. I said it, I mean it, and that's that. McGreevey, of course, the former governor of the state of New Jersey, who some 20 years ago resigned in a major national scandal, came out as a gay American with his wife standing right next to him. McGreevey had tried to put his male lover on the state payroll, who he met in Israel as the director of New Jersey Homeland Security. It blew up in his face. And then when the lover tried to blackmail McGreevey, the then governor had to do the mea culpa before the world. So, Governor, thank you for joining us. And I want to begin this way, Governor McGreevey. Looking at the span of your life, what stands out to you?
That's a great question, Dom. I think, in life, one of the most important things is the opportunity to make every day better than the next. It's to be thankful for the family you have. And for me, it's two extraordinary daughters. It's being blessed with two wonderful parents that were loving and supportive. In fact, today is my mom's birthday, and I had the occasion to stop by and put some flowers on her grave and just understand the sacrifices that they made. And to be blessed to live in the greatest country in the world and to try to make life a little bit better for not only for your children, but for other children, families, communities, and for me, the city of Jersey City.
Governor McGreevey, and we're going to get to what you've been doing in the last couple of years, because I've had a keen eye on you, watching you do enormous work with the community, enormous work, giving people second chances. So I guess before I get to the negative, why have you decided to try and help? And not just try, you've done so many people, and frankly, so many African Americans and Latinos.
Yeah, but it's Dominic. It's as the old spiritual says, we fall down but we get up, and
Indeed.
I mean, we have a lot of veterans. I mean, candidly, our veteran cases are our toughest cases. Guys and gals coming back from whether it was Afghanistan or Iraq, who had multiple deployments, saw and confronted a lot of trauma, both in terms of the weapons they used and the challenges that they confronted. I mean, people don't know this, Dominic, but in the United States today, veterans have the highest incidence of suicide, the highest incidence of homelessness, and there's a lot of pain there. So for people particularly that have gone for multiple deployments, coming home, trying to make sense of their lives, working diligently to try to, fit back into civilian mentality. You find some veterans who have extraordinary difficulties. And that's what New Jersey Reentry Corporation does. We work with veterans. We work with people coming home from addiction treatment, people coming home from prison, from jail. And so it's understanding, Dominic, in the book of life that, people face challenges in their lives. And if they have a strong family that's loving, if they have a strong faith that can support them, many times they can get through that. But for a lot of young people today, whether it's addiction and mental health, candidly, they may not have that support network. And so they need folks, and that's what New Jersey Reentry does, who places them in addiction treatment, provides them with the mental health support, ensures that they have a safe, warm bed, and then eventually, God willing, trains them towards employment, whether it's HVAC or General Electric or welding or phlebotomy or culinary arts or cosmetology. It's understanding that the best social welfare program in the world is a job, is consistency, is self-respect. But for a lot of folks coming back, and I say veterans, addiction treatment, incarceration, it's tough. And so our whole goal is we have over 21,000, we call them program participants, that go through our program, and we try to lift them up, put them in the right direction, give them guidance, but also, God willing, give them the discipline and support that they can keep making the next right decision. So that's important. And they get there, Dominic, and that's what's reassuring. My sister just worked with a veteran who was on the street and homeless for 7 years.
Wow. And
now he has his own apartment. He just began a job. But, you have to sort of redirect the behavior towards a healthy place. And that's what we try to do at New Jersey Reentry Corporation.
Well, we're going to focus on all the other stuff in just a second. But, folks, we are chatting with the former governor of New Jersey, Jim McGreevey, who resigned in scandal some 20 years ago after coming out as a gay American. He has spent several years since then running a highly successful and touted statewide prison reentry program and is considering a return to politics, a run for mayor of Jersey City, New Jersey.
So I should say, Dominic, I should have my head examined. But, if I can just, why being mayor is so important.
Go for it, Governor.
Yeah, no, I think for me, Dom, it's three reasons. One, it's, I was mayor of Woodbridge, and it's the level of government. You can really make a difference in people's lives. You can really make a change, whether it's, making sure that a street is well paved, making sure that traffic it runs smoothly, working to control property taxes, which is a problem in Jersey City, or making sure that, educational system, you're providing the fullest opportunities for young people. So the first thing is it's the level of government where the rubber hits the road, and it's you can materially see and witness the changes in people's lives. I think the second thing is Jersey City is at an interesting point. You've got all this tremendous development downtown, and some of it, candidly, is a little pricey, and $6,000 a month for an apartment rental, and then You've got other areas in the city, in Greenville and Lafayette, which are still challenged by crime, challenged by the need for greater reinvestment. So you have a bit of a tension between two cities, between the downtown city right across from New York City and sort of the older neighborhood, which incidentally my parents are from and my grandparents are from. So I have that, sort of emotional attachment to try to make sure you have investment, but in workforce and affordable housing, which is so critically important. Because, a realtor told me the other day, Dominic, that somebody was looking at a 2-bedroom condominium, and the taxes on it were $34,000 a year.
Wow.
And so that's more than the folks that go through the reentry program will earn a year. So that, if we want to keep Jersey City affordable, we have to make sure you have the right level of balance. So the first reason is because I loved being mayor. It's the level of government where you're hands-on and you can make a difference. And then the second is that I see a tale of two cities, and you would like to make sure that the city works for everyone. And then there are the specific issues. I mean, the specific issues of traffic, the specific issues of cleanliness, the specific issues of affordability, the specific issues of making an apprenticeship education system so that if not everybody's going to go on to college, Dominic, that somebody can go on to become a plumber or HVAC or general electrician or phlebotomy.
Amen.
Making sure that people have the skills so they can compete in the workforce. And I think that's important.
Governor McGreevey, I've watched you for a couple of years, and I've watched you with
You've watched me for longer than a couple of years.
This is true, Governor, but with the former inmates that have been released, the second chance programs, these are hardcore people. You're not going to fool them. They can recognize a phony walking into the room. And they treat you like a rock star. I have watched this over and over and over and over again, where, frankly, sometimes you're the only white guy in the room. Explain that to me, this connection.
Well, I think, the good Lord made us all pretty much the same as someone once said to me, when we bleed, we all bleed red. And I think that, I was blessed with a great mother who was a nurse. My dad was a Marine Corps DI. And my dad used to say to me, Dom, if he had, he went into the Marine Corps after his brother, my uncle, who I'm named after, Jimmy, died in Iwo Jima. And my dad got in a little trouble with the law. And my dad used to say that, if he didn't go into the Corps, he didn't know where he would wind up. And just as an anecdote, one day he spoke to these guys in court because, I was doing reentry. And he talked about, the Marines slept on the ground and the Navy had the nice barracks. This was in Guam on the way over to Japan, in World War II. And then he was in Korea. And then he would tell the guys how he would steal the Navy Jeeps and all the stories. And at the end of it, the judge said, Mr. McGreevey, thank you for the service. I can only tell the guys just to forget everything Mr. McGreevey just said. Because, he was a knock-around guy from the Lafayette section of Jersey City, but the Marine Corps changed his life for good. I mean, it gave him direction. It gave him purpose. So
Agreed.
I think what I understand in life is that, we all share a sense of community. We all share a common need. And let me just say, when I was in seminary and I was up at the Exodus Transitional Ministry and one of the things that I saw when guys coming out of prison, Abraham Maslow has that hierarchy of needs. So, you want food, you want shelter, medicine, but most important and fundamentally, you want family and love and community. So those are cravings, not cravings in an unhealthy way, but those are basic needs. I guess that would be a better word, Dom. And so if you understand that, you can help rebuild lives. And when I see guys, 42 guys, signing up for UPS or Federal Express, when I see, 67 guys getting a job at ShopRite, throughout New Jersey and rebuild their lives, and I walk in and they've been trained and they're slicing meats or they're working in an apprenticeship training program. Or I see young women taking blood as a phlebotomist. and they had a chance and they had direction and they had training. So, there's some folks that are bad that will probably should be in prison the entirety of their lives, but overwhelmingly, a lot of folks didn't have the opportunities I had, and so just giving them that opportunity and holding them, God willing, accountable, and also bluntly, Dominic, when people look at, and I don't want to talk too long, but when people talk about drugs, and whether it's our young kids who frankly take drugs because they're bored, or folks who take it because they can't, they're having problems getting through it. That's where I think, for me, faith is so important, being in a healthy, loving place. And that's where we try to move people to in terms of reentry.
And Governor, I do want to ask you this because I think that many of us want to know. So in 2004, I would imagine this was the hardest thing you had to do, but I want to hear in your words. After announcing to I believe your second wife and also to the world that you were gay with a man who worked for you, was that the toughest thing you ever had to do, Governor?
I obviously that was difficult, but I obviously it was difficult. It's difficult for your family, difficult for me, difficult for the state. But at the same time, it was also very, I don't know what the right word is, freeing, or I guess the most important word is truthful. So in that sense, it gave you the ability. I remember an old friend of mine said to me, that the most important thing is that you live your truth and that you're grateful for each day. So I think that it was a healthy, it was a very difficult period in my time, but it was also a blessing. And by blessing, I meant is that if I didn't go through that, Dominic, I wouldn't have had the appreciation, like sort of understanding people that are suffering from addiction, understanding guys and gals that made a wrong decision. I mean, my friend Calvin, spent 38 years in prison. He was 14 years old. He was found guilty of felony murder. He never touched a knife. He never touched a gun, but he was driving the getaway car in a felony murder, and served all these years. And so he comes out after all those years and has dedicated himself to, candidly getting young guys in line, having them understand the importance of making the right decision. So for me, it was a tough period, but it was also, a place of grace. And somebody once said, it was, a religious person once said, is where you trip. I think that's where your treasure lies. And so you learn about yourself and you reflect and you try to be the best possible person you can be. And God willing, you learn from your mistakes and you move forward. So, I think I look at my daughters, I look at my parents, I look at reentry, I look at, trying to make life hopefully better for people, being a hands-on. I was a hands-on mayor in Woodbridge for 10 years. I think hopefully the people will say that I did a pretty good job, and I give a darn, and I work really hard. And so those are the virtues you take with you, and to live your truth honestly is a blessing.
Governor McGreevey, you resigned decades before same-sex marriage was legal. And I once read that you thought you were doing the, quote, right thing by hiding your sexuality. Is that accurate?
Well, I think, and I realize different people have different views, but all that I can share is that I am who I am, not because I want to be, although obviously in a very different place than I was when I was like 15 or 12 or even 25 or 27. That it's a period of it's a place of self-acceptance. But I am who I am, how what I believe that God made me, and I just ask people if they know somebody, if they a son or daughter. It's for me it was I knew it when I was 5 or 6 years old. I had a better sense of 8 or 9, so that was my reality, and so that I just ask people if they have a son or a daughter, if they have a niece or nephew or brother or sister. I mean, part of it is just understanding that people struggle, but to be honest and to be open and to, God willing, accept people's truths as it is, and that's important. And to help people live healthy, good lives.
In observing you for several years with the prisoners in the reentry program and with others, you're so popular, Governor McGreevey, and I think you know that I don't say something unless I really believe it. But that's the luxury of covering politics for 40 years, right? Yeah. So I believe that you are so popular that I could see you as the governor of New Jersey again. Do you ever see yourself as being the governor of New Jersey again?
It's just, that's the level of government. I love on the local level because you can make a difference. You can make sure a road is paved. You can make a street light work. You can make sure that there's a stop sign. You can help control property taxes that are going through the roof. You can make sure, you can work to make, education even better. But when you're in the State House, so much of it is about, bluntly, and I guess it has to be about dollars and moving money and big dollars across a wide range of areas. And so I think for me, with, what's rewarding is to, I remember when I first ran for mayor of Woodbridge, I went door to door, and you go block to block to block. And then by my last time, I'd still go door to door, but I'd wind up in everybody's house having dinner, whether it was for 20 minutes or 45 minutes but by that time I knew everybody's family, their mothers, their fathers, their kids, and we all have the same problems and with the same challenges, whether it's financial, whether it's, your children you worry about, whether it's an elderly parent who's maybe facing some tough healthcare decisions. And that's what's rewarding, is supporting people trying to make the best decisions, trying to have the best quality of life. I mean, you can't stave off all the unfortunate realities of life, but you can help people make the best, healthiest decisions in the right way. And that's what's rewarding to me, is that level of government where you're touching people's hearts, you're touching people's kitchens and living rooms and dining rooms and their lives. And that's community. That's why people, whether, you go to a church or you go to a mosque or you go to a temple, in whatever faith tradition, it's about people coming together. I mean, that's what people need in their lives. And that's why, candidly, Dom, I get worried about some of these young kids. I was with a fellow gentleman last night at a Christmas party, and he told me his daughter has an addiction. And I said, and I'm not, pushing a faith, but I'm saying, well, does she go to church or temple? Does she go? And he goes, no, she doesn't go to anything. But I mean, I think having a sense of community, whatever it is, whether it's AA or NA or, a mosque or a temple or church, having a community outside of yourself is good, is healthy, is supportive. And that it is for me, and I'm not saying it's for everyone, but I see so many young people that are struggling, and I see the rates of addiction and the fentanyl with heroin. Dom, that stuff, three uses of fentanyl can change the neural passageways in the mind for a lifetime. I mean, the fentanyl is so brutally toxic. It's a synthetic opioid that's coming from China, that's being cut in Mexico, that's now in everything. And that's what scares me. The fentanyl is in cocaine. It's in pills. It's in heroin. I mean, we actually test our guys and gals. There's no heroin, Dom, in the heroin anymore. There's literally no heroin in the quote unquote heroin.
As I look back, you were the first one years ago when I was covering your programs that you were ringing the alarm bell about fentanyl, about how bad it was. And I remember at the time I said, well, Governor McGreevey, he may be fudging it a bit. And now we're finding out just a little bit of this can kill you instantly.
And it's so it's literally for people to understand. It's 4 grains of sand. That's how big it is. You die. 3 grains, you live. I mean, they had kids from one of the military academies in Florida a couple of years ago. A buddy had taken a narcotic, and obviously a fentanyl. His buddy was giving mouth to mouth, and then he had respiratory failure. Thankfully, he lived, but or these dogs. So, I mean, it's just touching. Remember, fentanyl was designed. There's legal fentanyl and there's illegal fentanyl. The legal fentanyl was designed to alleviate pain in the last stages of life for brutally chronic, painful diseases. But the illegal fentanyl, isn't made by a chemist from a pharmaceutical company. It's made offshore and then cut into these drugs. And so when I say, in my generation, Dominic, whether, you'd go out and you drink wine or whiskey or Jägermeister, whatever it was, I mean, alcohol, but this fentanyl is so powerful. And that's why I pray to these kids. I say to these parents, you have to tell these kids no, because you have to know, and you can show them the science, and these kids want to see, that it's not an opinion, but just look at the reality of what it is. And it's tough. And that's why I just ask parents to tell their kids the danger of this fentanyl.
Governor McGreevey, I have 2 minutes left. I really got to wrap this up here. You once, it was thought that you had the White House in sight in years past. You don't have a problem going from being governor back to mayor?
No, at the end of the day, Dom, as you get older, God willing, you get a little bit wiser. So you follow your spirit. You follow what for me, what you believe in your life is what you think is, you're searching to do what's right. And so, no, it's the level of government that I think I can make the best difference on, and I can be hands-on, and people will know I'll work 24/7, and I'll give my life's blood to make this thing work. So, yeah, as I shouldn't joke about this, but Governor Byrne used to say he wanted to be buried in Jersey City so he can stay active in Democratic politics. The old, Hudson County. But I just think this is what I want to do. This is my last act, and I think I could be really good at it. I'm hands-on. I'm accountable. I love Jersey City. I love the people. I love the community. I love the blocks, the streets, the neighborhoods, and I will work my hardest, my darndest, to make this city work as best as it can be, as efficient, and squeeze the best, make sure that every tax dollar works and is responsible.
Last question, Governor Jim McGreevey. It's my understanding that 9 of the county's 12 mayors have publicly endorsed your candidacy, and you're about to kick off listening sessions. It reminds me of when Hillary Clinton did her listening tour. In conclusion, is that what you're about to do?
Well, no, but you want to listen what people say, Tom. You want to listen to what communities say, and I love whether it's the seniors or whether it's young people. It's just my dad used to say, that's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we listen twice as much as we talk. So that if you're going to be a really good mayor, you've got to listen.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn. and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Again, Governor Jim McGreevey, keep listening, keep soaring. And that is all the time we have for this episode. Thank you, folks, for joining us. If you are interested in my remarkable book on my life titled No Mama's Boy, or even the Dominic Carter bobblehead doll, go to my website, all one word, DominicCarterOnline.com, DominicCarterOnline.com. If you order the book at my website rather than Amazon, I can personally sign it for you. You can catch me on 77 WABC weeknights, midnight to 1 a.m. Go check out the Dominic Carter merchandise at the 77 WABC store. From Dominic Carter t-shirts to hats and much more, go to WABCRadiostore.com. Also follow me on YouTube, where you will see videos from me about this podcast and the radio show, youtube.com/Dominic Carter. We will see you the next time. Dominic Carter, Red Apple Podcast, Talk Radio 77, WABC.
I gotta make it.
Dominic Carter Socials on Twitter at Dominic TV and Facebook and Instagram. Dominic Carter TV. Email at dominic.carter@wabcradio.com. Until the next episode, be well. And as Dominic always says, stay positive. The glass is always half full, never half empty. Dominic Carter City Hall.